Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ramadan Mubarak. Ramadan Kareem. I wanted to wish you and your families a blessed Ramadan. And wherever you are, may you have peace and health and joy and patience and courage in your lives. Today's topic on this series on spiritual practice in a time of crisis is you are a spiritual being. What exactly does that mean? And why does it matter? So let me preface all of this by saying a couple of things. One, whenever we are in a situation where things are unstable, we look for stability. So say, for example, you're walking down the stairs and all of a sudden you lose your footing and you think you're going to slip. So the first thing you do is instinctually, you're going to grab hold of the handrail. If there is one, you're going to grab hold of the wall or something to stabilize yourself. And so on. If you're riding a bike, if you're doing anything where you feel like you're about to fall, you're going to grab onto something that might be stable. So in a time of crisis, we reach for something that is going to be stable for us. Two, whenever we are unsure of what to do, we always can go back to first principles. This is something that is done in philosophy, and what it means is that whenever things get too complicated, whenever things get too abstract, and the way forward is hazy, confused, cloudy, what we want to do is get back to basics. We want to get back to the foundation, the ground that we are all standing on. So in a time of crisis, spiritual practice takes us back to the ground. Spiritual practice is the handrail that is there when we're about to fall and we need to get something to grip. So the very first principle that we can go back to is you are a spiritual being. What does this mean? This means that first and foremost, you are not your physical body. You never were, and you never will be. Every religion on earth, every spiritual tradition starts from this premise. In fact, without this premise, it's not really possible to even do religion, because the whole thing depends on the fact that you are a spiritual being, that you are not a physical being. There is a verse in the Quran that says, when God decides to create something, he says to it, be, and it is. The Arabic for that is kun, fayakun. Kun means be, fayakun means and it is. There is a corresponding statement in the Bible, in Genesis, in some of the first verses where it says, God says, let there be light. So this creative word, this creative command of God, where he says, be, and you are, is the act of creation, right? So the creator creates his creation through that be, through that kun, fayakun. Be, and it is. So that is not just the source of the universe in all the levels of the universe, not just the physical level, but also other higher levels that we don't know about and we haven't mapped yet. But it is the source of you. You are a direct product of God saying, be. And when he says be, you appear as a being. Because he says kun, which means be, and you are a being from that kun. So in your very first moment of creation, we are not talking about your physical body. We are not talking about being born through your mother, being born through the womb. We are not talking about the clot that grows into a baby, which grows into a child and a teenager and an adult and so on. We are talking about something spiritual. This is a spiritual event that happens in a dimension with Allah that we don't really understand right now. So when God says, be, kun, you are that being, the very foundation of who you are is spiritual being. You are that being, and you cannot ever not be that being. So we want to understand this not as a belief or a philosophy or an abstraction or just something out there. We want to understand this from a very visceral, visible, tangible point of view. So the very first thing that we can kind of notice is when you are healthy, you say, I am healthy. When you are sick, you say, I am sick, right? But what is that I am beneath the healthy and the sick? That stays exactly the same, whether you're in this condition or that condition. That I am is the being that you are. When you are in your mind clear or confused, I'm clear about this. I'm not sure about this. You can be clear, you can be confused, you can flip back and forth, but at the bottom of it is a being that says, I am. Clear, I am. Confused. Who is that I am? That is who you are. So we can also take this in emotional ways. I feel sad. I feel worried. I'm not sad anymore. I am not worried anymore. Who is that I am? Beneath the sadness or not sadness, beneath the worry or not worry, who is that I am? That I am is the foundation, that I am is the ground, that I am is who you really are. So we want to use this exercise to get in touch with the being that you are, the spiritual being that you are, the being that Allah made when He said, kun fayakun. So as you are going about your day, as you are going through your morning or through your conversations, through your experiences, you can take a moment and say to yourself, I am here. I am here. I am here. I am a spiritual being. I am feeling hungry. I am feeling full. Who is the I am underneath hungry and full? I am going into this meeting. I am coming out of this meeting. Who is the I am that went into the meeting and came out of the meeting? That is your spiritual being. It is always there. It is always present. You are always that. You can't ever be not that. So these are practices that you can do throughout the day, throughout your daily life. This isn't some otherworldly technique that requires you to, fly to India, go on a 40-day retreat. This is not something that requires you to only do in the late hours of the night. This is not something that requires you to set aside specific time and go sit in a corner with your tasbih or your prayer beads or something like this. This is something that you can have operating all the time. I am a spiritual being from Allah. I am a spiritual being from God. You can keep telling yourself this, because you know what? The world is happy to tell you who you are every minute of the day. You are somebody's daughter. You are somebody's son. You are somebody's employee. You are somebody's resident. You are somebody's so-and-so. The world is happy to tell you, you're a consumer and you need these things. So let me try to sell you these things. over and over and over again, you don't have everything you need. You lack many things. Let me sell you all this stuff. So the world is happy to tell you all day long who you are, but none of it is really capturing who you really are. It may describe certain things you're interested in, or certain circumstances in life that you may be involved in, or family relations that you have, mother, daughter, wife, husband, father, son, grandfather, grandmother, so on. These are all your roles, right? And what you do for a living, I'm a dentist. I'm a project manager. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a writer. I'm a teacher. I'm a psychologist. I'm a builder. I'm an architect. Whatever it is, these are all roles. These are just things that you do. They are not who you are, because who you are comes from Allah. Who you are comes from God. And nothing can change that, because one year you can do this, one year you can do that, but who is that I am? What is that ground that's always there? So when you are going through a crisis, the first thing that you can do is get back in touch with that ground. It is like it is like the spine that holds your body up. This is your spiritual spine. Knowing that you are a spiritual being from Allah, from God. That is the spine on which you navigate through life. That is the central pole around which everything can turn. All the other aspects of your life are just aspects. And so if this is your being, everything else is your becoming. So when you are born into the world, right, you're a small child, and you grow and you grow and you change, and you become a kid, and you become an older kid, and then you become a young teenager, and then you become an older teenager, and then you become a young adult, and then you become an older adult, and then you become a middle-aged adult, and then you become a senior, and then you become, an elder. There's aspects of your life that keep changing. Your body keeps changing. Your personality can keep changing. You don't have the same personality that you did as a 2-year-old. You may not have the same personality that you did as an 8-year-old, and you might, and that's great. But it's, so that changes. Your body changes, your heart changes, your mind changes, your moods change, your likes change, your dislikes change. Things that music you used to listen to when you were 12, you may not want to listen to when you're 18 or 27 or 42 or 65. All of those things change, but underneath the change, there is a foundation. There is a ground. There is a spiritual being that you are. And you were this being before you were born. And you are going to be this being after you pass away. And you are continuing to be this being for every single day of your life, because it is your ground. Because it comes from Allah. It comes directly from Allah. And when Allah says kun and gives you this being, you've gotten a gift that cannot compare with anything else. The being that you are can't get sick. The being that you are can't get cut. The being that you are can't ever die. The being that you are can't ever be defeated, because Allah is with you. Allah is supporting that being up. So no matter what you're going through in your life, whatever circumstances you're going through, whether they're large tragedies or small disappointments, there is a being that is there. And you don't just have this being. Let me be very clear about that. You don't just have this being. You are this being. You are this. You can't ever lose it, right? You can lose your clothes. You can lose your glasses. You can lose your phone. You can lose, You can lose every material thing that you have. You can even, you can do sun damage to your skin, and just things can change. But with this being that you are, you cannot lose this, because you are this. So you can never lose what you are, right? So you can lose your home, you can lose your money, you might have to move to another country, you can go through great tragedies, but you can't lose what you are. You cannot lose that primordial, powerful reality, truth that God gave you when he said, kun fayakun. And so that is your gift, and it's the greatest gift you have. It's the greatest treasure you have. And you always have it, and you always are it. So no matter what tragedies are happening, no matter what disappointments are happening, no matter what crisis you may be in, know that there is a holiness about you that can never be touched by the troubles of the world. There is a holiness about you that comes directly from Allah. And it is always there, and it is always complete, it is always whole, and it is always protected. It can't get torn up, it can't get broken up and fragmented. Even though you feel like you might be falling apart, the being that you are cannot fall apart. So you are a spiritual being from Allah. You are a spiritual being from God. And that is a foundational truth. That is a first principle. That is something that you can grab onto as life shakes things up. Whether it's personal, communal, national, global, whatever it is. Get back in touch with who you are. Say, I am a spiritual being from Allah. I am a being from Allah. Thank you, Allah, for speaking that kun over me, because that's the moment you gave me being. That's the moment you brought me into being. And no greater gift will ever be given to you, because that's your life. That's your existence, right? What is bigger than your life and your existence? What is bigger than being? Becoming can swirl and turn and change and transform and become all kinds of different things. But the being that you are is right there in the center. Changeless, stable, undisturbed. And so spend a few minutes every day getting in touch with that being, and just sit or go about your business, but also you can also sit and just kind of say to yourself, take a breath with me. I am a being from Allah. I am a being from Allah. I may have troubles in my life, but Allah is with me in the ground of that being. I am a being from Allah. I was sick yesterday, but tomorrow I won't be sick. So what is that being that is there yesterday, today, and tomorrow, whether I'm sick or healthy? I was feeling troubled. Tomorrow I won't feel troubled. Who is that being that stays exactly the same? That being is changeless. The circumstances of the world can't change that being. And so that is what we want to remember at this point as our first principle. You are a spiritual being from Allah. Thank you very much.